Listen up, presented by Dempsey's and Sports Land. Alongside Ryan Runners, Phil Becerra. Shout out to the UConn family, the UConn fan base for coming through again, as they always do so many times, Ryan. We appreciate them. The numbers are flying up high. So again, we appreciate all of you all for coming through on the last video. We feel the love and support. We love you guys. We know you can't wait for UConn basketball to return, and we can't wait. Ryan, we had to tell him we were laughing coming on this one. You tried to give me the countdown like you always do for each show, and you said that you hit the button, but it didn't record.
Yeah, it always seems like something technical difficulties or something always happening with our phones or laptops before we go on these episodes. So yeah, it's tough sometimes to prepare for these things, but
Well, you gotta have a little fun.
eventually
That's what
we
they say.
figure it out.
You gotta have a little bit of fun sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though G knows all about business, we like to stay on the fun side. We don't like to get too stressed out. Except for March Madness. It's all stressed in.
Yeah, March Madness will get the best of you.
Yo, you're not lying. So to get down into it today, Ryan, very quick podcast for you guys. We promised we'd be back on this Tuesday, and here we are to talk a little bit about Ryan KK Arnold, our second recruit discussion in this series, like we promised everybody. KK Arnold, Ryan, she comes in at what? At number 8.
Number 8,
2023 class of 2023 rankings, ESPNW. We appreciate them getting that list together. We couldn't do a better job, that's for sure, covering how many. I mean, it's 60 on this list. That's a lot. Plus, I'm sure they probably go into the 100 and 200s, right? I mean, they have a lot of players to cover out of high school. Ryan KK Arnold, she is out of Wisconsin, Germantown High School.
Yeah.
She stands at 5'6". Is that right? Wisconsin?
Yep, you got it all right.
She's a point guard. Okay. And that's a change. Huh? I got it all right. And she has at least verbally committed to UConn. Ryan, what caught my eye, and I know you did some research. I definitely appreciate you on that before we went on this one. You were well prepared, and I appreciate it very much. I try to find some articles. So it's hard to dig up some information if they're not officially already on the team. But again, when you go with UConn, the media, you don't have any problem, I don't think, with the media starting to cover you very quickly. But the article and the headline that caught my eye, Ryan, it goes, meet KK Arnold, the UConn women's basketball recruit who could replace Paige Beckers in 2 years. Now, that's what I wanted to ask you. The word replace, were they really, as I look more into this article as you go, were they really talking about replace just at position, or are they talking about she could fill in Paige Beckers in her shoes, what big shoes to fill, and we could see possibly another legendary career out of KK Arnold as we are with Paige Beckers, heroics rather, close games, big stakes, and KK Arnold comes through in the clutch.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost way too early to tell because just like Ashwin Shade, KK Arnold hasn't even gone through her whole senior year, high school year. Mm-hmm. So it's almost way too early to tell, but definitely replace Paige Beckers in terms of the position at the point guard position. But yeah, 5'6" KK Arnold out of Wisconsin, Germantown High School. Number 8, like you mentioned, player in the class according to ESPN for 2023. Found another interview with KK Arnold, like Ashwin Shade. W7 Productions, Arnold said during the interview, what really tipped it towards UConn is the competitive style they have, competitive nature. She also said she felt uncomfortable, or she felt super comfortable around the players when she visited UConn. She also brought up the coaching staff. We talked about them a lot. She said that the staff is really great and one of the greatest coaching staffs around. So she definitely got that right. Gino and all these assistant coaches. We'll have to go over the assistant coaches as well during this all season too, and talk about them a little bit and how much they mean to this team and all the scouts and getting these recruits on the team and in touch with Gino and everything like that. But yeah, KK Arnold, she seems to be getting along with the players during her visit to UConn, and I'm sure that's why she picked UConn. One of the many reasons she picked UConn over the other 11 schools, I believe, that she had offers from.
Let me just talk about this for a quick second with you, because we always talk about how, as far as their performances on the court, how well they are as far as ball handling skills. And I did see, I mean, KK Arnold brings a lot of talent. Obviously, it's UConn, so we're expecting big things out of any player, any recruit, rather if they're in their senior year of high school, junior year. I don't know if you go back as far as sophomore or freshman, do you? It's usually always you start to really get a close look at them during junior and senior in high school.
I think most of the time, yeah.
All right, so it's really, I mean, unless you're really like off the chart, off the chain talented. Usually, I don't remember a lot of covering as far as sophomore or freshman in high school. I'm just asking you. I mean, if you remember, you tell me, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I mean, maybe sometimes it does start in the sophomore year because now we're seeing like Ashland and KK Arnold committing during their junior years of high school, committing to
Mm-hmm.
UConn already. So maybe it probably does start somewhere around the sophomore season. I mean, especially if you see the recruits for these colleges see a player with just amazing height, size, athleticism, anything that they look for. But yeah, sophomore, junior year, I think is the prime, when they start to look at these players.
Yeah. So getting back into it, KK Arnold, it seems like that, and of course, again, that goes with social media and the word getting around, right? I mean, because it's about who you know. Obviously, when you get in this kind of sports business, as far as wanting to play for a legendary college team, wanting to have that chance to go into the WNBA draft, right? So with that said, Ryan, yeah, that's a big shout out to actually the people that handle the cameras and the crew that is starting in high school. You know, when
Yeah,
they send all the film around to different colleges so they can take a closer look at these players.
right.
It is a lot. I'm telling you, it's that's what I keep telling you. It's a lot of people that go into the whole process that, Ryan, we never even talk about or never really see. But again, it's hard to imagine every single person for one. Think about it, for one athlete to be that successful. All of these different people you rarely see or meet, but they all team up together in terms for one athlete to reach the top.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. That's spot on. And all these people, or most of them, like you just said, we don't even know about. We might not ever know about, and how much time and effort that actually goes to all these college recruits and women's high school basketball and women's college basketball. But yeah, I mean, Arnold only being 5'6", despite her smaller size for a point guard at 5'6". She's known for her ability to attack the basket, and she's a very physical player. I went over a little bit of her high school tape in Germantown High School. A very physical player, attacks the rim. And this past season, she helped Germantown win a state championship. She was also named the AP Max Preps and Gatorade Player of the Year for Wisconsin. Like Ashland
Mm-hmm.
Shade got Player of the Year as well for her state. So UConn knows how to recruit these girls, that get all these awards, Gatorade Player of the Year. So it's definitely, they look promising, winning all these awards and winning state championships for their high school team.
Yeah, and definitely we would get some more local head coaches around this area. I wish we could actually get some from Stores, Connecticut, some high schools up around that area. Maybe we can get in connection with some of them to get them on the podcast this summer. Some different coaches, some um, different uh, coaches that go through the strength and conditioning to get these players ready. I'm gonna try to get on a whole bunch of different guests for you all this upcoming spring and summer, Ryan, to try to melt some of the time away, huh? Because and you hate to wait. I want opening week basketball to start right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just can't wait. And then speaking of the future, Obviously we already went over Ashwin Shade and then KK Arnold. Now, for the 2023 season for UConn, they'll both be paired with Paige Beckers and Nika Mulho. They'll both be seniors. AZ Fudd, Caroline Ducharme, they'll both be juniors. So the future looks pretty bright for UConn, especially in the backcourt. And then the two recruits we have coming in for 2022, we'll get to those in this next upcoming weeks on the podcast. But, I think those two players will bring a little size to the team, so that the future looks pretty bright for this UConn team. But I think the question is, how well are they gonna, once they get to the school, be able to learn the plays, learn Gino's style of coaching, and get used to all the players around the UConn facility.
Yeah, we can't wait to cover the class of 2020. What is it, 2022 then?
Yeah,
because they're getting ready to graduate this actually what, about another month or two, I guess, beginning
I
of
guess
June,
it will
end of
be.
May.
Yeah.
So with that said, getting back to what I was talking about we're putting the spotlight on KK Arnold today. Let's get back on topic. What stood out to me, Ryan, when I got to know KK Arnold, reading different articles and hearing about her, I think it's important to mention this is one of them players that she brings more than just her basketball skills to the table. And that's why I wanted to ask you, how important is that? I think that's actually really important. She has a passion for, this is not like her second or third sport. She has a passion for basketball. I think I read like she could double dribble by the age of 3. I mean, and she has like fat heads hanging on her wall of like UConn mascots, I think, everything I read. So look, this is a girl that received like 33 letters from different universities. And her family, I think it was like, well, we already knew once she opened that one from UConn, all the rest of the 33, the letters were already thrown out the door. We knew which college she was going to. But talk about, Ryan, just very quickly, how important it is. It's just like kind of your everyday job, going to work and, like, I have to go to work, and, you already have that negative attitude because the people you're surrounded by are already negative, so, but in this case, KK Arnold, Ryan, I think not only with her basketball skills, how important is it to bring that passion to the game? And then again, we already talked about it months and years ago, athletes that want to make their whole team better and every player around them better. I really think that that's what stood out to me as far as KK Arnold, other than her basketball skills, because I think it's very important in any sport, Ryan, no matter if you're talented or not, if you have that negative attitude with you, or maybe what do we call it, quote unquote, too stuck up, I don't know if it's really going to work out as far as a team sport for you. So that's what I like about KK Arnold, Ryan. It's almost like that she's out here to help other athletes get better. And man, I mean, the sky's the limit for her at UConn, because that's the kind of program that Gino runs. It's all about how you get better. And hey, at the end of the day, yeah, she may be one of the best players on the team when she arrives in stores. But at the same time, I can bet that you're going to see a lot of positive outlook in KK Arnold. She seems like she can really just full of respect. I mean, she really seems like a cool, down to earth kind of athlete.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important to have that, positive attitude towards the team and all the coaches, because like she said in her interview, she got along with all the players. She felt comfortable around all of them. So I think that's really important, especially when you're a freshman going down to UConn. It's such a big stage to go on, high expectations, like we talked about. So I think it's really important to show up with a positive attitude. Quickly get to know all the players, and just surround yourself in the culture and get used to everything that goes on, surrounding UConn basketball, and to just get your mindset ready for the big stage. Because these new recruits that come in, they might not start right away, but like we saw this past season, everything UConn had to go through with injuries and everything else, you never know when your time's going to come. And just like Asia and Caroline did such a good job as freshmen, coming in, filling the spots of Paige Beckers and many of the other players. It didn't seem to phase them at all. So that's the hope. That's the hope for these new recruits coming in. They can kind of follow in the footsteps of Paige Beckers, AZ Fudd, Caroline Ducharme. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait for these new recruits, and I think it's a very good atmosphere overall surrounding the UConn program. I think Gino keeps everybody in high spirits, even though it might not look as though all the time, might not be smiling all the time, but deep down inside, Gino has that happy side to him.
Comments time. Ryan's favorite part of the show. It should go by pretty quickly. Only 3 came through. We will cover all 3 and then head out and be back later this week to cover the class of 2022. Ryan, first up, Grobel. Ashlyn is a good kid. Talked to her and her parents briefly at the UConn game at DePaul. They were seated 1 row behind me. Very, very cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. And I saw you see these recruits, in these articles going to the game. So it's good to see them attending the UConn games. And, they can even meet some of the players and talk to them down there, I'm sure, when they're at the game. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome that they're able to interact with the fans as well. So, like I said, positive vibes and energy all around.
I remember speaking on behalf of Grobel's comment. I remember, I guess it was when Paige was a rookie. I remember talking to Sailor Poffenberger's godmother, that is Courtney, and I had to shout out to them because I remember texting Courtney back and forth when Paige arrived in stores, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, yeah!" It was like when Paige came right on the stage. Ryan had 34 points, and they beat number 1 ranked South Carolina. I think that was a game that we first found out about Paige Beckers, and yeah, and Courtney's like, "Oh my gosh," she's like, "I just turned around and we're sitting like right near Paige Becker's parents." I'm like, "Man, FaceTime me so I can tell them hello." But yeah, it's pretty cool when because obviously, you don't know the sections or what road you expect them to be sitting pretty close to get up close look at their daughters. But yeah, you never know when you run into them parents sitting in the stand. So watch your mouth. That's a good lesson, Ryan. Watch your mouth. No trash talk.
Yeah, because we saw all throughout the NCAA tournament as well, all these parents, especially when it got down to the Final Four, and the final 2 teams in the championships, they were showing Aaliyah Boston's parents, AZ Fudd's parents, and many other athletes as well. So yeah, you never know who you might be sitting close or even next to at these games.
Hey, how about Michael Lawson? What's up, Michael? Thanks for checking in on the last video. I believe that Paige will make it easier for Shade. I don't think that Paige will show her any tricks. Shade will take experience from each guard before they leave. That's a nice comment right there.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think it's really important for the players that are already at UConn, Nika Mule, Paige Beckers, AZ Caroline. I think they'll all do a good job of kind of showing these new recruits around, showing the new players around, and getting them, getting them used to the atmosphere, all the plays, getting them accustomed to everything, surrounding UConn basketball as well. So I don't think it's really that much of a challenge to kind of get used to all the players. But I think the most important thing is just when these new recruits get down to UConn, just continue to keep on practicing at their game, and just continuing each and every day to try to get better.
Yeah, Ryan. And really quickly, I mean, how about, you talk about other than the hard practice, I'm sure Gino runs a hard practice program down there. And then, of course, the in-game experience. I understand that. But yeah, I'm glad that Michael Lawson brought that up because it reminds me game experience is great, but especially when you're coming in, obviously you have to watch as far as any player, the risk of injury, especially when they're new right out of high school. You want to break them in slowly, I feel like, right? So we really never talk about how important, Ryan, is it to just sit and watch. Now, some people might look at me like, well, what's watching going to do? But how about just sitting and watching from the bench? I'm not saying that that's a bad idea. I mean, some players learn different in different way. Everybody learns differently.
Right.
If you feel me on that. So Yeah, I never really thought about that. I mean, obviously you want to get that game experience, but at the same time, man, it could really. So some of these players, it might be paying off for the head coaches down the road if you just let them sit, new rookies sit on that bench and watch, take it all in what's going on.
Yeah, and last year I remember seeing something that Gino said about when he goes back to watch these tapes and game films on previous games, he'll actually look at the bench players and see which ones are watching the game, getting hyped up when their teammates score. He's looking for excitement and energy on the bench, even if they're not playing. Players that he might not only get 10 to 5-10 minutes a game. He's always looking at those players and see if they're engaged in the game and clapping for their teammates and cheering them on. So it's definitely really important to always stay locked in and always have that mentality of when you get the chance, you got to be ready to go in.
And then the last person, Ryan, just 4 hours ago, actually, she commented 4 hours ago. Thank you, Sharon. I'm not going to. I might be saying her last name wrong. I apologize if I'm Keo. Sharon Keo, Miss Sharon, we thank you for coming through. She goes, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought she decided to go to North Carolina. Actually, yes, I did not hear, unless you did, Ryan. I think Sharon is speaking about the player that UConn had their eye on, a big eye on, and that was their recruiting target, Sierra, to me. She committed to North Carolina, but I do not. Hopefully, I don't think Ashlyn Shade. I think Shade is still 100% coming to Connecticut.
Yeah, and unless something changed within the past couple hours, I know when I was researching about KK Arnold, Ashlyn Shade was still committed to UConn as far as I know of. So I mean, I hope she is, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Ashlyn and KK Arnold are pretty locked in for the 2023 recruiting class.
Listen up, presented by Dempsey's and Sportsland for Austin and Anita running the background. I'm Phil Vicera alongside Ryan Brenner. And Ryan, I will see you later this week to break down the class of 2022 recruits right here on Listen Up.